quarter. He's got that same look he had. He took a pretty hard hit. It looked like he had like a bit of a stinger, and it still looks like it's hanging around.
Yeah, it's I thought Dallas would win.
He's down.
It, but I thought it would
he's
be a close
definitely
one.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's down. He's down.
Yeah, that's down. Ground can't cause the fumble.
But we think they had a full football move?
Oh yeah.
Because that thing is always very tricky when they call the football move. I'm like, I never know.
They gave it to Dallas.
Well, no, they're going to review it, though. They're going to review it. They said the ruling on the field is a fumble recovered by Dallas, and then it was a personal foul on Tampa Bay, but they're going to review it. So that's going to be interesting to see if that personal foul will stand up given what happened.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, wait. I think, yes. The Capitals. Nice. I'll have to see. I just saw like the goal light go off. I didn't actually see the play, so I'll have to wait for the replay on this. But yeah, that's exciting. The Caps got a big win there.
Hey, Robbie, I can't wait to hear DJ's thoughts on the Jags' epic comeback this weekend. I got to hear how you felt about that, my brother.
Yes, we will. We're gonna go through all. It's fine. Why don't we do that now? That's a pretty good segue, and then I'll get you the scoring update with who scored for the Capitals. Oh, here it is right now. So I think it's Sonny Milano, shake and bake move. Oh no, it's Dmitry Orlov. I think from Sonny Milano. Hold on, I need to see this again.
According to the scoring update I got, the goal was credited to Orlov.
Yeah, Orlov. Wow. Oh, I just assumed because Sonny Milano was on the ice that he did this crazy move. So he deked him in and out, got the goalie to move and up and in, which is great because you don't expect a defensive player to do that, but it looks a lot like an Ovechkin play. And it's cool because Orlov's shot is very similar. So he obviously, Ovechkin spent many years, training Orlov on his shot and what he does. Because even if he's a defensive player, they've got a lot of similar build and they can generate a lot of the similar shots. And that's a big win for Squirloff. And I'm happy that they're able to go because we've got a game again tomorrow at home against the Wild. So a big win there. And so let's go into it. I thought Tim was going to join us tonight on the show, but he hasn't been responding. So I think we're just going to go. It's funny. At one point, I thought we may have 6 people for this roundtable, and now we're at 3. But it's great. It's actually we're going to be able to go through more games this way because I was like, how the hell are we going to have 6 people to stake on 6 games? We'll be here for like 2 hours. But let's go back to the wild card weekend. We'll talk about the games from the first day. We kind of already talked about the 49ers Seahawks game. We've gotten Dujanay's take. Champ, do you have any other thoughts on that one before we kind of get into the Chargers Jaguars one?
Yeah, it's just so crazy to think that Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant 2023, and he just won a playoff game in 2023.
Yeah, so
that's crazy.
For people who don't know, Mr. Irrelevant is the last guy picked in the draft. We've lost Champ for a second. Okay, I think he's back. So yeah, it's a pretty incredible story. A lot of young quarterbacks having some great stories this year in the playoffs. But yeah, let's get into this Jaguars Chargers game. So Chargers first of all, the Jaguars had 3 turnovers in 3 interceptions in the first quarter. And they give the Jaguars a 17-0 cushion, and then they continue to push it all the way to 27-0. But the Jaguars are able to get a touchdown at the very end of the first half to gain a little bit of momentum. And what's crazy is somebody put a $1 million bet out there to try to win $12,000 because they were like, they're up 27-0, that this is sure money. And they lost that money. I'm like, I still don't understand why anyone would make that play. Even the Chargers are good, but they're not like, anyway, I couldn't believe it when I heard that story. But yeah, it's just this crazy comeback where the Jaguars had such a terrible first quarter and half, but was able to be so resilient, especially in the fourth quarter. But just an incredible comeback. So I'll throw it to Duchesne now. What were some of your thoughts on this incredible game?
This is nothing we hadn't seen from Brandon Staley coached Chargers all year. This is not like the first time it's ever happened. They've had several losses this way. And really, it just comes down to coaching. There's no excuse. I mean, you have to understand it. I'm sure people saw my status on Twitter and Facebook about Brandon Staley pissing down his leg and getting out coached. That was the concern coming in. I mean, you're going against Doug Peterson. He's been here, done that, had the Eagles, in the playoffs all the way to the Super Bowl type of thing. You had to know that you couldn't really lay down for this team. Jaguars have talent. I mean, they don't get seen very much, but we do get a chance to see them here in the South, the Southeast here. So, they're a talented football team, and it's just, comes down to coaching. And the fact of the matter is, I don't see how anybody, any talking head, I've seen people on NFL Network justifying Brandon Staley keeping his job. Look, if this is the first time this has happened, then sure, I could say that, yes, no big deal. We'll rally the troops and come back next year and try it again. But this happened several times over the season where several of their losses came down to them giving it up in the second half. It really just comes down to coaching. I don't know how a guy like that keeps his job. There's people that have been fired for less. So I don't see how he's safe in any of this. He's got all the talent in the world. He has one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. They've got talent galore, and I know that I'm missing Mike Williams, but obviously that didn't make a difference. I mean, they were up early the whole entire game, and you just basically wet the bed in the second half. It really, really is unfortunate for a team that I felt like I don't think they would have gotten. I don't think you're going to go to the Super Bowl or anything, but they definitely could get out of the first round.
I think you're talking about the coaching. Doug Peterson, to me, is such an incredible coach. Like, I saw that very early on. We played them week one, and I said week one that, everyone's like, oh, this Jacksonville win isn't a big deal.
It was a big deal.
Looking back on it, it's one of our better wins of the season, right? So, deal. And I even said it then. I was like, I think this team's good. I think that they're very good. It's not a fluke, and it'll be interesting to see what they do this upcoming week. Because now they've got this underdog mentality, and
absolutely
now they can know that they can win. And Champ, what are some of your thoughts on this comeback?
Just a couple of key notable stats when it comes to this comeback. In 19 previous games, a team who had a turnover differential of -5 or worse was 0-19. The Jags became the first team in the Super Bowl era to win a game with a differential of -5 or worse. 4 interceptions and a fumble, and they still managed to win. Think about that.
Thanks, Brandon Staley.
Think about that. There are a lot of NFL teams who are elite teams that would lose games like that with that kind of turnover differential against lesser teams.
Exactly.
And yet the Jags went out there with a -5 point differential, turnover differential, and came back and made the third, and this is the second stat, this was the third largest playoff comeback victory in NFL history. The biggest comeback was one I was lucky enough to watch as a 9-year-old, and I still somewhat remember it now as a 40-year-old. And that was Buffalo's epic comeback in Orchard Park against Houston back in 1993. I watched that game live when Jim Kelly led that team back, when Frank Wright led that team back after Kelly went down. And that team looked like they were out of it. And Houston just let up the gas, and Buffalo brought it back. That was the largest. This was the third largest comeback in playoff history. And it was led by a third-year quarterback who no one believed in coming into the season. No one believed, but you know who did believe? That fan base and himself and his team. And he went out there, and despite throwing 4 interceptions, never got frazzled, never lost his confidence, went out there and played like he felt he was an elite quarterback. And that was the difference between that and what the Chargers did, was that they went out there, Chargers went out there and they felt, oh, we're up 27-0. We got this, took their foot off the gas. And guess what? Jaguars raced right past them and beat them at the last lap. Period. Point blank, period. And now they're going to sit at home and chill. They're going to be sitting at home thinking about this. There's a report I just saw pop up on my app that they're still going to consider retaining Staley anyway, which it is what it is. But there's going to be a lot of questions about this team in the offseason, especially when you let a team like the Jags, who they came in with a lot of momentum, but the fact that you had your foot on their necks and instead of crushing a windpipe, like Doc Walker said before, you didn't do enough, and they ended up taking your ankle and putting it into an ankle lock and making you submit. Period.
Staley's trash.
Sorry. All right. So I think we've talked about that game enough. I think Tim actually might be still joining us for some of these. We'll see in just a second. He just responded back to me. So let's go into the next matchup, which is the Buffalo Miami game. That game, I was sort of surprised. We kind of thought that Buffalo would kind of take, or at least last week, we were talking about how they would just take care of business, and we thought it wouldn't even be that close. But how do you see that? Well, I'll start with Champ because we got his take last week, and then I'll get Dujanay's take.
So this game was really intriguing because of the fact that, again, we all thought Buffalo was just going to run away with this. They're still, riding that emotional wave with Damar Hamlin. He's now out of the hospital and beginning his rehab after what happened during the Monday night game. They had like that whole big emotional game afterwards with the 2 kickoff returns in the season finale. So they're coming in with a lot of momentum, but Miami was not going to be denied. They were not going to be denied. They're going to come in and say, look, y'all not going to overlook us. And we're going to show you. They didn't have Tua because unfortunately he was still out with a concussion. But the young man who was playing at quarterback, Skylar Thompson, didn't play all that good, but it wasn't completely horrible, and they stayed in the game. But Josh Allen just played absolutely very, very solidly. He did have the 2 interceptions in the game, but he did have the 3 touchdowns, and he did have 352 yards in the air. So clearly they had a game plan, and they went with that game plan, and their best player, which is Josh Allen, went out there and made plays. Gabe Davis had 6 catches for 113 yards and a touchdown. So clearly they knew what they were doing, but Miami definitely made it a game. It was a really good game to watch, and really surprised that it was as close as it was, but that goes to show you how good Miami was this season throughout the regular season, and a lot better than they were last year. So kudos to Miami, but now Buffalo moves on.
Sounds good. I see that Tim is getting on right now, so he can come in whenever he's ready. But I'm gonna go to Dujanay next. What are your thoughts on this sort of surprising non-dominant performance by Buffalo? I mean, almost kind of gave it away.
It's not really surprising. If you watch a lot of Buffalo games, they do a lot of the stuff that we've seen the Chargers do. Buffalo is right in there with that type of game plan. And then, I just had them in my head, but they have a tendency of doing this here. They get out on team Cincinnati. Cincinnati's like this too. That's why this is going to be.
Did my audio go out?
I think it's all of us.
Okay. All right. So Dujan, I think we lost you for a second. We had you and then it cut out. I can't hear you right now. It's weird. It was fun. Yeah, I can hear you, Champ. So I don't know. It was weird because nothing said it changed, but it just suddenly cut out. I don't know why. But while Dujanay, try to mute it again and unmute it, Dujanay, just to see. Oh, wow. Dallas just downed it on the 3-yard line. So we'll see. Yeah, some of that.
Everything's going right for the Cowboys, clearly. Looks like we're going to get Cowboys.
Us, but we can't hear you. I don't know. That's so weird. It was all working fine. And then, I don't know. What changed? Let me see. All right. Well, while we try to maybe Dujan try to just quit out of the whole thing and try to sign back in and see if it just maybe it's just a glitch, and then we'll continue on. So Tim, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Good to see you guys.
Yeah, it's good to see you as well. We've kind of gone over the Saturday games, but I'll let you kind of give your quick take on them. Starting off obviously with the 49ers big victory, and then the kind of come from behind improbable win for Jacksonville. What were some of your thoughts on those two games?
Well, I thought the 49ers let Seattle stay in it, and I thought that game was going to go down to the wire, but the 49ers just turned it on in the third quarter and never looked back. So I think they're a really scary team, and they could definitely go far. They have so many weapons, even though they've got a quarterback that's barely drafted. And then I just gave up on the Jacksonville game. I'm not going to lie. I fell asleep in the third quarter because I thought it was over, but the Chargers just always choke. It's just something about that franchise. So I feel terrible for their fans, but that's just kind of how it goes for them. But yeah, good games at least. Pretty close.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of just surprising that it keeps on happening at that franchise. I don't know what it is about them for sure. Dujan, we're just gonna do a sound check. How are you?
I'm good.
You're good.
Good. Yeah.
It sounds right. Awesome. All right. So you were starting a really good thing. I was like, man, I thought it was my end. And I was like, I don't want to say anything. But what are some of your thoughts on the end of, or I guess the Miami game is what we're talking about.
Miami's talented. And I thought that they coached the game knowing what quarterback they had, and they put in positions to make plays and not be the reason why they would lose the game. If you watch a lot of the Buffalo games, they have a tendency of doing this thing where they get in games and they get up on people quick, and then all of a sudden they allow people back in. Cincinnati's good for that too. The Bengals don't really put people away. It's going to be really interesting to see how both of these teams go through the next, couple rounds here. Because you have to, in these playoffs, you have to put people away. They really should have put the Miami Dolphins away. They allowed them to hang around. They made some mistakes, and really Miami's defense forced them into a lot of mistakes, and they were able to hang around a little bit. But this has been Buffalo's mantra the whole entire year. I don't think there's been times when they're in these types of games and they allow people back in and they allow the opponent to hang around. And we'll see if that'll get them all the way to the big dance. I mean, I like to think that they can with Josh Allen and all of what they have and how well they play, but you can't have, hiccups for a quarter in playoff football. You just can't. And as he gets further and further along, the teams are going to get tougher and tougher. But the funny thing is, I believe it is Cincinnati and Buffalo that play each other. So these are two teams that do the exact same thing. So, it'll be interesting to see if both teams do this at one point in the game, and at what point in the game does this happen, and which team can capitalize on it to close the game out towards the end. That's really what's going to be interesting.
You're muted, Robbie.
Yeah, you're on mute.
Thank you. Tim, what were some of your thoughts on the Buffalo-Miami game?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think Buffalo really did struggle to put this game away. They were up 17-0. Miami could have easily just went home and folded, but they took advantage of some turnovers. I think the other thing that people forget, in Miami and Baltimore, both playing tough, when it's divisional opponents, it really is hard to kind of blow out even the better team. It's hard to blow out that divisional opponent a third time that you play them. There's just so much familiarity. So I'm not shocked that both teams played pretty tough. But yeah, I mean, just Miami has a bright future. They have a lot of offensive weapons. But again, they didn't close this game. Buffalo just was a lot more clutch. And I think the fact that the next round Buffalo hosts Cincinnati is huge. I think probably that could be the difference, the home game. But yeah, you just have to give it up to Miami. They fought hard. Somehow they managed to score a lot of points. I thought their third string quarterback played pretty well overall, considering. But also his interceptions hurt. So that's kind of to be expected. It would have been nice to see Tua play. That could
it really would have.
Yeah, might have been the difference, but we'll see. Next year they should be pretty good again.
Yeah. So Tampa Bay is driving here, which is good to see. I just want to at least make this a game. Their Cowboys are right now still up 24-0 with a minute left in the third. I really hope that they're able to just score a touchdown here, put the pressure on, because I wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys, folded some points if that happens. But they got to get on the scoreboard and kind of do it quickly. Let's get into the next game, which is the Giants and Minnesota. I thought that Daniel Jones played really well in this game. I was kind of impressed by, obviously it started off, not so great for New York with the Vikings scoring first, but the Giants did a good job of, scoring a bunch in that first quarter, making it 14-7. In the second quarter, they were traded a field goal for a touchdown, so it made it 17-14 in favor of the Giants going into halftime. And yeah, it was kind of a back and forth affair, but I just kind of felt like Cousins wasn't ever going to bring them back in this one. But yeah, we talked about this a lot, that Cousins just isn't a clutch quarterback. But I'll let Duchesne give the first crack at this. What are some of your thoughts on this matchup?
Brian Daboll deserves a lot of credit throughout the season, and having his team ready for a playoff game. A team that I feel like doesn't really have a ton of talent, outside of Saquon Barkley. But again, another coach that is tailoring his offense and understanding what his quarterback does well, and having him play within that framework. And he's done that all season long. I really do have to give Daniel Jones some credit. Had an opportunity to see Daniel in the Senior Bowl. Always thought he had talent, thought he had the arm strength, thought he had the ability to make some plays. Just the inaccuracies, which we saw early in his career, throwing a lot of interceptions was a problem for him. But Brian Daboll has got a scheme going and understands what his quarterback does well, and is really taking advantage of what he does well. And they've done a good job all the way through the season producing. They know what their identity is. That's running the football. That's play action off of that. And they're doing a good job of that. Their defense plays very well also. Not really surprised. You guys saw exactly what I posted. Kirk Cousins is this modern day Sam Bradford. Collects a lot of checks, but pays no dividends. This is just who he is. I don't know why people keep trying to make Kirk bigger than what he is. He is what he is. What we saw in that playoff game. He had some opportunities, but as usual, he goes to check down Charlie because he's scared to make the play. And he's late, and he goes to check down Charlie, and you don't get first downs. Saw that on the last play. You need a first down, and you throw the underneath to the guy who's way short of the first down and is completely covered. Typical Kirk Cousins. Not surprised at all. Again, a guy in Case Keenum took this team to the NFC Championship game, yet you're paying guaranteed money to a guy who can't even get you out of the first round. Should have asked the Commanders / Redskins that before you got him. But everybody's blaming the Redskins for not locking this guy up. Look, a good stat machine, not a championship quarterback, period. Kind of like an Aaron Rodgers, completely overrated. All right. The Giants deserve to move on. They were scrappy. They really got after it. They really take the attitude of their coach. I really am interested to see what they do in this next round of the playoffs. Giants really did some good stuff there. And I thought if anybody had a chance, Kirk had a chance being at home to win this thing. But, don't ever trust a guy who shows you who he is. He is what he is, and that's a loser.
Right. So a big scoring update. Final play of the third quarter. A great crossing route to set it up by Mike Evans to get a first down. And just a couple of seconds left. The clock was running, and they try to go for it all with 5 seconds on the clock. Throw it down the almost like a Hail Mary, 30-yard catch. Julio Jones along the side. They make it. They go for 2, but there's a miscommunication there on the 2. So now it's 24-6. But we were talking about it before. They just kind of got a score right before the fourth quarter just to put a little bit of fear into these Cowboys.
Definitely.
It's still 18 points, but 3 touchdowns will win it for Tom Brady. So if they can able to do that, it'll be interesting for sure. I'll go to you next, Champ, since I know that you saw that play, but also your thoughts on this Giants-Vikings game.
That was a beautiful throw by Tom Brady to Don Julio Jones, who made a very good catch and managed to stay inbounds, get his knee down inbounds to make it a very good play. And just well done. It's just, it was miscommunication. They were looking for a flag for like a hold or pass interference, but it was clearly miscommunication between Brady and his receiver. So now they're chasing points now, trying to get back in this football game. But this Giants Vikings game, Dujane already said what I was gonna say about Kirk Cousins. He is who we thought he was, but I want to shift the attention to someone else. Daniel Jones arrived in this game. This was his very first playoff game in his 4th season as a professional in the National Football League. And you would think first time in the playoffs after 4 seasons being in the league, that the moment would be too big for him. He's been consistently inconsistent throughout his career. Like he's had flashes, but he hasn't been on the level. But on this day, in hostile territory, because we all know Minnesota Vikings, that stadium, that dome can get loud as a hell. And that was PI, by the way.
Yeah, it was definitely a hold, and they should have gotten it from 1 yard out. And that ultimately could be a big play because it could be if they did get 2-point conversions on all of them.
That's crazy that didn't get called, but whatever, it is what it is. But no, Daniel Jones arrived in this game. This kid went out there and in a very hostile environment in Minnesota and went out there and played almost flawless football. Didn't have a interception. He threw for 2 touchdowns. He had 301 yards, and he also had a rushing touchdown. This young man went out there and absolutely had one of his best games of his young, short career, and it just shows the tenacity that this Giants team has shown throughout this season after having a very horrific season last season, which led to a new coach being brought in who has come in and absolutely has changed around this Giants team, who Dujane said earlier, they don't have a lot of talent on there outside of Saquon Barkley, right? I don't even think Giants fans even know half the names of half of their position players on offense, their skill players on offense. Yet this team still managed to produce a 9-8 record, to a 9-7-1 record to get into the playoffs and to be able to get to where they are now, which is now they're continuing on in the playoffs. But I worry that, Daniel Jones had this flash and he was going up against a quarterback who can't get it done when it needs to get done. But what is he going to do next time when he has to go up against a team that can get it done and that can do it, which is the Philadelphia Eagles, who have been damn near perfect this season. They've been damn near perfect. Only 3 losses. And also I got to remind you that one of those 3 losses, their first loss was against the Commanders. Always remember.
Yeah, sounds good. You look like you're going into the Matrix for a second there, champ. But
I
we've
thought
got
that
him
was
back.
only me seeing that.
No.
I'm like, what have I been smoking? But
Tim, real quickly, your thoughts on this game?
I mean, the Vikings were definitely a paper tiger this year. They won so many games by less than one score. They were just kind of due. And I think also just the fact that, their plus minus on the year was pretty much even. They definitely weren't as good as their record. And I thought they played with a lot more pressure on them as the home team. The Giants are basically playing with house money at this point. And that's what makes them dangerous this week, because I think the Eagles are obviously the better team. They're going to be at home. They're going to have a great crowd. But if the game is close, I think the Giants will play very loose in that game in the second half and have a chance.
Agreed.
So yeah, they're clearly playing with a lot of swagger. And I thought the Giants, I mean, they had a great start. They kind of lost a few games at the end of the year, and people thought maybe they were a mirage, but they held it together. And, clearly they're playing well together. So their coaches know what they're doing. And I think they're a team on the rise too. So they'll probably be around for a while.
So Dallas had a third down. If they held them there, it would have forced a punt, but they unfortunately didn't. A nice a pass down to Gallup, then able to get a nice running play here. So Dallas is able to mix it up a bunch. They've already gotten all the way down to the 25-yard line of Tampa Bay here, trying another running play, and to the 22. So it'll be interesting to see how this kicker does if they're able to hold them here, though. And so I'm just throwing that out there. So it's not over, but time is ticking. 2nd and 9. It's just frustrating. It's like I just wish they had gotten off there with that third down. They were so close. And
they just have no answer, man. I just don't understand how they come into this game and they had not. I mean, they did not look at the last game of the season. I just find it hard. You know what I mean? It's like this isn't hard. Like, I mean, this is the same team that got waxed by the Commanders in the last game of the season. And I mean, I just so many things that they're doing, they're just playing right into Dallas's hands. Dak almost went Dak though.
Yeah, he did. It was almost a pick there. But it's also almost a first down, so I'm happy it was neither of those. But it was a good blitz there, at least to force him into a play. That's what you kind of have to hope for, is force him to make a stupid play and a run back. I mean, that could make a difference right here. And they're playing it a little bit safe, but he falls inbounds. The clock will keep on moving. It'll be 4th down. And we're gonna get a field goal attempt here. This is gonna be an interesting.
Let's everybody just sit back and watch this. Let's sit back and watch this. Let's see what happens.
This is gonna be. He can't feel. Too. They're gonna go for it on 4th and 4.
They have no faith. They have no faith in homie. They have no faith in homie.
Here. What a 4th down play. Are they gonna try to draw him off sides and see if they're not going to do anything? Oh, no, they're actually running a play. Here we go. A pass down. What? Wow.
No answers.
F off. How did they leave CeeDee Lamb that wide open? Someone answer me that question.
No answers. Wow, that's
wow. Hey, Tampa Bay, you guys ass. This game is done. This is a wrap. Yeah, I'm about to go back and finish watching Kelp's Kitchen. Holy crap.
Yeah, that was brutal. All right, well, I'm happy we got to all experience that together, right? That is the love of this podcast here. We get to have some misery and talk about it together. I think that's actually
finally made one.
I didn't even look. But
He finally made it, and it was right through the middle.
well, now the pressure is off, right? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it is.
All right, let's get into the last game of Saturday. I'm sorry, Tim, that we'll have to do this, but it's the
Sunday,
oh,
sadly.
that was the
Last
Sunday. I mean, last game of the Sunday game.
still raw. So
Yeah, Cincinnati against the Ravens, and I thought the Ravens played a hell of a game, especially undermanned. I thought they played a really smart game, but I cannot for the life of me understand this play call, Dugenet. Why did they bunch up in the middle and try to jump over it? It seems doomed from the start. You either go low, or I really wanted them to pull it. They even ran the play later in the game where you fake going one way with your running back and you pull with your quarterback going the other way with people out in front of you if they're so compact like that, right? Or spread them out and go up and over. But to have it compact and up and over, I
think that was on Hundley, honestly. I think the design, I mean, you saw the guys was supposed to come up and be able to push him. He decided to go over the top from 4 yards out, then had the nerve to be like, I went over the top. I hit the line. No, you didn't. You were 2 yards short, Brainiac. Who does that? Who does that? A backup quarterback. That's who does that, not a starter. That's why. Look, they needed Lamar, a healthy Lamar on top of that. Hundley did the best that he could as a backup. They called a really good game for him. I thought the defense did a heck of a job of keeping them in the game. I mean, again, a Cincinnati team that does exactly what the Bills do. They go hide away or they go MIA at least 1 quarter a game, sometimes a quarter and a half. And that was enough to keep Baltimore in it. They had plenty of time to put them away long time ago, but they got to give a lot of credit to their defense. They made some things happen to keep them alive, and they just didn't make the right play at the end. I mean, I really thought that we were going to have another upset, but I don't know why he thought going over the top was a smart deal. It was obvious that the play was designed for him to be pushed forward because the guys behind him, the backs, are going to come up and help him. And he went over the top, thought that was a good idea. And, the rest was history, 98 yards worth of history.
Yeah, it's so frustrating that it all can come down to a single play like that. Tim, I'll get your thoughts, on this. Obviously, Tim is a big Ravens fan, and I was rooting so hard for you. I was hoping that they'd find a way in this game, and I thought that they played pretty well. But what were some of your takeaways?
Yeah, I think it was totally on Huntley. He should have went under the pile, and he knows that. I mean, I think Huntley is one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league, but he makes a couple big errors pretty much every start. So I think he would be good enough to win maybe against half of the teams in the league, but he clearly can't bring a team on a playoff run. And also his interception in the first quarter was a killer and a really bad read. But, I mean, he played well. He played really hard. He had a lot of good runs besides that. It's just, I think you have to give Dobbins at least one touch on that goal line possession because he is the Ravens' best goal line back. He managed to get one in at the goal line that was really contested. So I don't like giving Huntley the ball there in general. I think they could have ran some better plays, but Deuce is right. I mean, in general, the game plan was good on offense. The Ravens outgained the Bengals a lot. I think the Bengals could be in trouble with their offensive line. Like, they could not protect Burrow, and the Bengals, it kind of worked still, but the Bengals were forced to throw hitch after hitch after hitch. They could not go deep. And Chase still had like 7 or 8 catches, but they had nothing deep. And I think the Bills will be able to get a lot of pressure on him And the Bills, I believe, will be able to outscore the Bengals because I do think that their line is really shattered going forward. I think they have the third starter out next week.
Yep, dislocated kneecap.
Yeah, that's a big weakness, but we'll see. I mean, I didn't think they would go to the Super Bowl last year, so maybe Burrow will turn it on, but I think their line is maybe even worse than last year at this point. So that's a problem, but I mean, the Bengals, they pulled it out. It's still a win. I think the Ravens can build on it for next year, but they clearly need at least one receiver too.
I agree.
Mean, that's a weakness. Robinson was okay, but he should not be your number one. He should be your number 4.
I'm still trying to figure out why they picked up Deshaun Jackson. And they virtually, I mean, you need to tell me you can't scheme up and play to get him open. I mean, he's still got it. And they virtually didn't even use him as any type of home run threat ever. Like, what was the purpose of picking him up?
I don't understand. He had 2 long catches the entire year. One was important against Jacksonville, but yeah, most of his catches were intermediate routes.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard in practice he still was a burner. And the weird thing is they cut him before the last regular season game. And I thought they would bring him through the practice squad and bring him back because they were playing some scrubs on special teams, like the 4th and 5th receiver were practice squad guys. So I thought he could have played and had a difference. I didn't get that. I think the Ravens might replace the offensive coordinator because Greg Roman he's good for 3 years everywhere he goes, but then so he should. I hope they replace him, but they need a receiver or 2. that's a hole.
Yeah. One other question I had for you is the time management at the end of the game. I thought was pretty atrocious. I thought they could have used a timeout with about a minute left and so 2 or 3 more plays. I just don't understand.
I heard it right from a fan. I like the philosophy of not giving Burrow any time because with those receivers they could easily get a field goal. They still had 3 timeouts, but I think they wasted 45 seconds between. Yeah. And I'm like, why are you huddling a full huddle on the next play? Do you not know?
Yeah, like you got 2 minutes plus.
I'd rather get the touchdown and take your chances on defense. I see what you're saying and what your friends are saying, but there's no guarantee they didn't get the touchdown. That's the problem. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess what I'm saying is take 20 seconds, not 45,
Right.
They didn't need to run up and quick snap it, but they shouldn't have had a full huddle. I mean, it's just, if you lose, you look back at that. If you win, you're like, that's genius. But
yeah, I don't know. I just think when you're down, it's one thing when you're I don't know. It just seemed like a really head scratching move, even at the time. Just give yourself more plays. Nothing's a given, especially teams tighten up down there in the red zone. Champ, any thoughts on the Ravens game?
Yeah, I mean, Baltimore did everything they could to win this game. It just came down to that one play on the goal line where even Harbaugh said after the game that it wasn't executed correctly. He said it himself. It wasn't executed correctly like that. He was supposed to go low, and instead he went high. And then Hundley defended himself and said he just wanted to make a play. But then what was more telling was that J.K. Dobbins, who's the running back, was very critical of the play calling in this game as well. He talked to ESPN's Jameson Hensley and said, quote, he should have never been in that situation. I don't get a single carry. I didn't get a single carry. He should never have been in that situation. I believe I would have put it in the end zone again. So there you go. Right there, you have not only your coach, but your running back saying, you effed up. That's not a good look right there when the backup quarterback's being called out by both his coach and his running back saying, yeah, you effed up on that one. But again, Baltimore did everything they could to win this football game. Cincinnati, and Dujane brought this up way back earlier, that Cincinnati is not the type of team that they'll go up on a team and then put them away. They let Baltimore hang around in this game, and had it not been for that quarterback sneak that turned into a fumble recovery, 98 yards by a big man defensive lineman, we could be talking about a different result here. Now we're thinking about a different result here of the possibility of the of the AFC Championship game being played at a neutral site because of the fact that the Bills-Bengals game was not played due to what happened to Hamlin. And so it's a really crazy situation, but Hundley did what he could, but I just don't think he was ready for that situation and that stage of being in a playoff game and having to be the guy to take his team further. So honestly, Cincinnati, they just was dealt a better hand of having to face a backup quarterback who has never been in a situation like that. Whereas they had Joe Shiesty, who has been there and done that and doing what doing what he needs to do. And so there you go. And Tampa Bay is just basically just phoning it in at this point. Holy crap!
Turnover on downs. Just
they phoned it in. They've given up. They've given up.
Well, they got sacked on the last 2 plays. I mean, I think it was trying. I mean, they got all the way to the goal. It was 1st and goal, but couldn't punch it in. And got sacked on 3rd and 4th and goal. So that is a rough ending for Tom Brady, who should have hung it up a year or 2 ago.
I said that when he said he was coming back. I said there was no reason for this man to come back. He doesn't have the team he had last year. It wasn't going to happen. Everybody's better than you. He wasn't even going to smell the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think it was a bad move. All right, well, let's take a look at next week's matchups, since I think we've kind of gone through everything so far. Let's start off with the Chiefs and the Jaguars, which is the Saturday 4:30 game. I'll start off with you, Dugenais. What are your thoughts on that matchup?
This is the game to watch, in my opinion. I really feel like the Jags are playing with house money. They don't have anything to lose. They know that they're the underdog. I think defensively, they do a lot of things well as far as getting after your quarterback and being disruptive. The question will be how they'll be able to come out and will they be able to start fast offensively? Because I don't really trust too much of the Chiefs' defense. They're hit and miss here and there. We know what Patty Melt can do. He's going to have those off schedules. I think they'll do enough to hang around. I don't know if they'll win, but I think this is going to be a better game than people expect. And I think that Doug Peterson will have his team more than prepared. And I think we're going to see some things from them that we haven't seen throughout the season. He's going to pull out some stops here that the Chiefs haven't even seen on tape to try to get this team a win. But it's going to be a competitive ball game. I don't expect it to be a blowout at all.
Yeah, right now, Chiefs are favored by 8.5. And my dad just chimed in that Lawrence has never high school, college, and as a pro lost on a Saturday, which I think is an interesting stat.
That is interesting.
And he's playing on the Saturday for 3 weeks in a row, right?
Yeah.
So it's that is something to watch out for. I don't know if they'll go in to Kansas City and win, but maybe they can get it closer in that 8.5.
Right.
So, and I love you too, Dad. I appreciate you for tuning in, even at 11 o'clock. Well, I guess this game is kind of over now. There's 6:20 left, and they're just going to try to run out the clock here for the Cowboys. Let's go to Tim next. What are your thoughts on this Jaguars Chiefs game?
I picked the Chiefs, but I do think Jacksonville might come out hot and have a really good first half because they're coming off the high of that huge comeback, and Kansas City might be a little bit rusty. They even the last game of the year, their defense gave up a lot of points, I think against the Broncos or somebody not very good. So I think that's the Jags have a small chance if they come out and get a lead, but it's going to be tough. I think a lot of those Jaguars players are young. They don't have a lot of playoff experience. They're going to go play in a very cold environment. Lots of hostile fans. So I don't really think that they can pull it out down the stretch, but I give them a chance. I don't think this is like a mismatch and a game that you want to miss.
Yeah, Champ, what are some of your thoughts on this one?
If you'd have asked me 5 weeks ago when this very team went into Detroit and got their natural asses whipped, if they could beat the Kansas City Chiefs in a playoff game in Kansas City, I'd have told you, hell no, they're going to get boat raced. But after winning 5 straight, including that big comeback last week, I still don't think they're going to beat them, but they're not going to get blown out. They are going to make this an incredibly competitive game. And what's going to be the best way for this Jaguars team is to establish the run. Travis Etienne ended the season at over 1,000 yards, 1,125 to be exact. So run the football. Keep Pat Mahomes on the sideline as long as possible. That way you establish yourself and maybe you give yourself a chance to get the upset victory over a team that many people felt would go back, would go to the Super Bowl again. But that's what you got to do. You have to run the football. You have to establish yourself. You have to keep that offense on the sideline as long as possible and give yourself a chance. Otherwise, if Pat Mahomes and them go out there and start clicking, it may turn into a blowout, but I don't see this as a blowout. This team has done nothing but have gotten stronger and stronger. And one of the things about the playoffs is, regardless of your record, if you get hot at the right time, you can beat anybody. And right now, this team literally went from 4-8 and pretty much out of it to 9-8 and winning the division and then getting that epic comeback last week. They got something to prove, and they're going to come out and try to prove it. Will they win? No. But will they make a great impression on a favorite? Absolutely.
Yeah, and they've right before the bye week, they've played in Kansas City, and I think that's such great intel, right? They've been there, they've gone through it. We've talked about it before. It's hard to beat the same team twice in the same building, just like it's hard to beat them 3 times overall or whatever. But I just think that it has all of the things you're looking for in an upset, for sure. So let me go back here to the next game, which, sorry, my thing froze for just a second. But the next one is going to be the Giants and the Eagles, which is the 8:15 game on Fox. The 4:30 game was on NBC. What are your thoughts, Dujane, about the Giants at the Eagles?
I think this is going to be a different game than most expect. I think that the Giants are going to come in and play the type of football that they have been playing, and that's just this smash mouth football, very physical play on defense, and getting Daniel Jones out there on the outskirts and making plays out of play action. I worry about an Eagles team that has had an opportunity to sit. Jalen Hurts is probably going to come back for this one. He hadn't played for the last couple of weeks. Will he be rusty? Will he be okay? It's really going to be interesting. I really like the Giants in this game, to be honest with you. I don't like the fact that Eagles had a bye week. I don't know if it helps them or not. If their coach was Doug Peterson, then maybe it wouldn't bother me so much. But I think Brian Daboll is going to have his team prepared and ready to go. They know what the task is at hand. Again, another team pretty much playing with house money. If they come in there, can pound the football, control the line of scrimmage up front, that's going to be the difference because, we all know what Philly likes to do. They like to pass the ball. They like to get the ball, into their playmakers' hands. They like to run the ball, but I don't know. I just think that they're gonna force Jalen Hurts to beat them, whether it's with his legs or in the passing game. They're not going to allow the Eagles to get off running the football. I really like the Giants in this game, and I think this is going to be another close one. And these close games, I think Tim said that earlier. These close games they really favor the Giants. And I think it's just going to be another hard-fought NFC East type of game. And I really expect the Giants to be there at the end to kind of steal one.
Yeah, for sure. Tim, what are some of your thoughts on this matchup, this battle of the NFC East?
Yeah, this one's tough for me because I mean the Eagles not only did they get the bye and they've been able to sit, but really their offense has been resting for weeks. If you consider just they've had backup quarterbacks in a couple games that weren't really vital, so they didn't play all their guys and play really hard. It's just impossible to know if they're going to come out fresh and clicking, and maybe the Eagles have this game in control, or are they going to come out rusty? Because I agree. I think the Giants would probably win a close game, if it came down to a field goal or something like that. The Eagles fans are great, but they also will, get angry, and probably there's going to be some negative energy in the second half if the game's close. So I struggle to pick this one, but I would pick the Eagles if I had to. It's just, the layoff it's impossible to tell what's going to happen to that Eagles team.
Yeah, so Tom Brady is trying to sniff the end zone one more time here. 2:55 left in the fourth quarter. Now an injury to Tampa Bay. But it's just Dallas can't get out of their own way. It's just kind of funny. But I can't believe Tom has still put up over 300 yards. And it was just a crazy number. Was it 60 attempts? Was I reading that correctly? But it was, I think he's putting up just a crazy number of attempts on the in this game. He's trying to will his way into this victory, but it's just it doesn't have the team around him and the defense. And it's 58 attempts, so he's almost at 60 attempts on this game. But he's trying his best, but in 308 yards, but it's still just not enough. I think the defense let them down a lot, and he just players aren't making plays around him enough in this one. But Champ, any final thoughts on this Giants Eagles game?
Yeah, so this is going to be interesting because Philly swept the season series against the Giants, blew them out back on December the 11th, just blew them out of the water. But then on the final game of the season 2 weeks ago, they barely squeaked out a victory over the Giants to clinch the number 1 seed in the NFC and things like that. I mean, and the crazy thing is Hurts played this game, but he didn't play. Well, I think he played the whole game, and he had an interception thrown in this game and really wasn't much of a factor in this game, honestly, in terms of offensive scoring. But it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they'll come out, especially given the fact that they've had the week off to heal, for him to heal some more and to get himself ready, and hopefully, see if they can come out on all cylinders. Of course, the Giants are coming off that big win in Minnesota. They're coming in with, they're coming in ready to fight. Unfortunately, before the playoffs, they came in on a 3-game losing streak, so clearly they were coming in very inspired and pissed off. But we'll see what happens in this one. I want to pick the Eagles. As much as I hate to say I want to pick the Eagles, it's just really hard to, given the fact that they're coming off a bye week and the Giants are coming in with all of that momentum, and they've got recent history against them, having faced them on the final game of the season. So it's kind of hard to say who wins this one, but I'm going to reluctantly say the Eagles. I'm going to reluctantly say the Eagles take the victory here, but it's not going to be easy, especially given the fact that you had Hurts in the game on the final one and you walked away with a 6-point victory 3 weeks after you blew them out, 3, 4, 5 weeks after you blew them out of the water in convincing fashion. So there you go. And very concerning scene right now in Tampa Bay with the injury that's happened. Dude got hit from behind with a clothesline and whipped back his neck. So hopefully he's okay.
Yeah, it's just
not a good look here.
Yeah, especially at the end of this game, that's kind of turning into a blowout. It's just like you just kind of hope that people get off.
They're bringing out the cart.
Yeah, so they're going to commercial break. So we'll let people know what happens if we get any more information before we end. So we finally get the Cincinnati game versus the Bills. Speaking of injuries, that did not happen a couple of weeks ago, and this time it's in the other location, and it's in Buffalo. And this one's on CBS on Sunday, a 3:00 game. The Bills are favored by 4.5. Dujane, what are your thoughts on this quote unquote rematch?
I think this is the Bills' game to lose. I think we're going to actually see, like I said before, these two teams have a tendency to fade away a little bit during the game. At some point during the game, it's usually in the second half. And it's really going to be seeing which team can capitalize at that time, depending upon, what the score is. I expect the Bills to win, but I don't think this is going to be, they're not, Cincinnati's not going to go away quietly. Like I said, if the Bills have the same thing they had happen against Miami, which they've had, we've seen this several times during the season. Same thing with Cincinnati. It's really a toss up. It's a pick 'em game, really. But I think, like Tim said, they're losing another lineman. Is not going to be vote well. They already had trouble protecting Burrow at certain points during the game against Baltimore. I expect it to be pretty difficult for them, and I think that's going to be the difference maker when they need to have the protection to be able to pass down the field. I think that's where a lot of this is going to break down. It's probably going to be a close one, though. I don't see this being a blowout by any means. I think these two teams are going to come in and throw haymakers, and they're going to just wear down on each other. They're going to beat each other up until it's over. You're muted, Robbie.
Thank you. What are your thoughts on this, Tim, on this matchup that we didn't get a couple weeks ago?
This is interesting. I think somebody mentioned this already, but the Bengals are pissed off right now because they could easily have had this game at home and been the 2 seed in the AFC. They were winning the game when it was suspended and canceled. So they do have an argument that they should be at home. And I do think that will be the difference in the game because Buffalo has a good home advantage. They're going to have a good crowd. But yeah, I think it will be close. I think it likely will come down to the last drive. It's probably going to go back and forth. I'm guessing both teams will probably lead at some point, but I'll just pick the Bills at home with a little bit better health right now. But it's going to be interesting because I think either way, there's going to be a lot of chatter about who should have played at home. And I do think we're going to get an AFC champ game at a neutral site, which is funny, but I guess the NFL did the best possible thing. So, but they're going to have some kind of controversy no matter what. That's clear.
Yeah, I actually am kind of excited about a neutral site. It kind of reminds me like a bowl game or something. I don't know. It'll be interesting. I'm not
down in the South, Atlanta, Florida.
With the new arena, and I don't know. It's just I think that could be kind of a fun game where maybe the fandoms are more split, and I wish it could be like a bowl game where they could actually like put one team's fans on one side and the other. That would be something. But
have some bands come in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would be all for that. But I'm a big fan of college football, so for me, like, bring that in at least for that game, I'd be okay with it. But yeah, it's going to be a interesting matchup. Champ, what are your thoughts on Cincinnati versus the Bills?
I feel like this is going to be a shootout. I don't know why I feel that way, but I feel like it's going to be a shootout because you have two extremely talented young quarterbacks in Burrow and in Allen, and they have various weapons on in the passing game. That I feel like this is going to be a shootout. The big question is who outlasts who in the shootout. Will it be Cincinnati or will it be Buffalo? I'm actually going to go Cincinnati here. I think Cincinnati, because of what I saw from Buffalo, allowing a team like Miami, who I'm not even going to try to slight them and say that they aren't that talented, because they are, but Cincinnati has played a lot better consistently throughout the season. And so I feel like Cincinnati, and the fact that Buffalo couldn't get up and get out of the gates and like blow Miami out the water, tells me that a team like Cincinnati, who has played just significantly better than Miami, can beat Buffalo in Buffalo and really make things a lot more interesting when it comes to the AFC Championship game. And so there you go. That's what I'm saying. I'm thinking Cincinnati gets the victory here and moves on to the AFC Championship game. And it looks like we're going to find out that the Cowboys are going to be the ones playing San Fran. And what we talked about earlier on with Anna Kay is a classic NFC rivalry between these two teams.
Here's a touchdown. It's probably too little too late, but it's before the 2-minute warning by the Buccaneers. They will definitely go for 2 here. But it's just a little bit too little too late in my mind. But I'm sure they're trying to make it look a little better than it was. But I will remember this is not a very close game. It's I'm kind of excited to see the 49ers versus the Cowboys. I think it's sort of that historic rivalry. I think it'll be an interesting matchup for sure. Duchesne, that would be the second game on Sunday. I believe that game would be on Fox. Is that correct? I think so.
Probably will be on Fox.
Yeah, and what are your thoughts on that potential matchup?
Worst case scenario for the Dallas Cowboys. I think if I mean you're talking about a Shanahan coach team. They have 49ers have great defense, and that's going to be a little bit different here. There's some things that I'm really surprised that the Bucs couldn't do. You're not going to see San Francisco play cover 2 zone. They're not doing that. You're going to see probably more of a game plan of them, how Washington attacked them in that final game. And offensively, they've got all the weapons. Tight end to wide receiver to running back. They mix things up. They're not going to allow Purdy to get into any kind of trouble. Kyle's going to have him ready to go. And it's at their home as well. It's going to be a tough matchup for the Cowboys. I think tonight, really honestly, you're seeing what could be, but isn't the reality for this Cowboys team. Kellen Moore didn't have to really reach into his bag at all. He's Scott Turner 2.0. And you still got an idiot coach in Mike McCarthy that I don't trust. So it's not anything negative against the Cowboys. It's just the fact that, they really didn't have to do much of anything tonight. Buccaneers have given them what they like to do all night long, and they've just played in that game plan. But I don't think Kyle and that defense is going to allow that in this game. They have the horses to be able to go toe to toe and play man across the board. And I think that's it. But I don't, it's not anything negative. It's just the facts. The facts are that you still got Kellen Moore, who is Scott Turner's son. And you got Fat Boy, who really isn't a coach and really has no idea what the heck's going on the sideline. So it's going to be tough for them. If they were in Dallas, it'd be a different story. I think it'd be a little bit closer. But I think the 49ers are going to show us what the Commanders showed in the final game. Dallas's really true colors.
So
no shot
Dallas,
that just happened.
I know. Speaking of Dallas true colors, onside kick is successful by Tampa Bay.
They
got the ball back with the 2-minute warning.
It bounced off the receiver after it went 10 yards. It bounced off the dude's chest, and Gio Bernard, former Cincinnati Bengal, went in there and got it for the Bucs. So now the Bucs, with 2 minutes left, they're still not going to win this game, but they're about to potentially make this a 10-point loss instead of a 17-point loss. Well, holy crap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But, these are things that can F with momentum, right?
Big time.
Right. So, I'm kind of excited if Tampa Bay can make this close, make them, get another touchdown or 2 here. It'll make Dallas a lot more nervous for next week, right? They won't get to say we crushed them. It was easy, whatever. Their last thoughts of this game was, man, we couldn't hold a big lead on anybody,
Right.
And, so there's definitely still something to be played for here, even if they might not get the win. And who
Indeed.
knows? I've seen crazier things happen in the final 2 minutes. Like,
Oh yeah,
this game
definitely.
game is not over. So, I'll go to you next, Tim. What are some of your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I think the 49ers probably will win the NFC. Just they're such a complete team, and I think Purdy is lucky. I mean, they have so many weapons. It's really not very difficult for him to play this well. I mean, they don't need a whole lot from him, and he always has a stud who gets open. So I think it's probably going to be similar to the Seattle game where the Cowboys will hang around maybe 2.5, 3 quarters, but I expect the 49ers to just kind of roll them late in the game and win by multiple scores.
Oh,
Yeah, it went off the fingertips. It was almost a touchdown on the very next play. And
Imagine?
Mike Evans. Oh my God. Imagine if there were like 7 seconds and I kind of wish they had just gone right back to that play again.
they need to go back. They should go back to it.
They just should have gone right back to it. Like
It should have been a touchdown. It went right off his hands.
Oh,
Like, come on, man.
That's
That-
the microcosm of this season and
You
the
got that
playoff
right.
game.
100%.
Holy crap.
Oh, geez. He just took his head out. How? I'm impressed that that's not a penalty, but it was good timing.
Oh,
play by-
good Lord, have
by-
mercy.
by the Cowboys guy. Yeah, I guess that's legal, but like he is kind of like, ooh,
Oh, Lord.
yeah. Isn't he
I
like?
think he was kind of defenseless there.
Yeah.
I think so too.
He
but,
definitely wasn't going to the ball, but, whatever.
What's gonna happen here? Hold on.
Oh, well, when you look at that replay, he was kind of the receiver as well. He was playing the ball.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. And then Tom Brady does that.
Oh, come on, Tom.
Yeah,
You old fart.
Yeah, it was. Oh, what an exciting.
Michael Parsons is just an animal. Holy crap. He's like the reincarnation of DeMarcus Ware for Dallas. He's a manimal.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Like that dude is nasty.
Yeah, wow,
That's
this
crazy.
game is still not over though. 2 timeouts left for Tampa Bay. 1:22 left. It's 3rd and 18. This is kind of for the ball game, and I don't like that play call, but I don't know if there was anything else that was an option.
Yeah, I don't think coaches really have plays drawn out for 3rd and infinity.
Yeah,
Like,
for real.
Yeah, just kind of make it.
just gotta
I
do
just
what you gotta
I
do.
just think that you just keep going for the end zone. That play was open. I just think that they should have gone back and tried it again. And maybe they cover it better the next time is the thought, but I don't know. Like, I feel like with time and score, you just got to go downfield. I don't like this sort of.
Wow.
May as well just go for it all.
No,
First Cowboy
like
quarterback.
Dak, what a turnaround for Dak Prescott going from just an absolute knobhead to having 4 touchdown passes and a rushing touchdown in the playoff game. Holy crap.
Like I said,
Doink.
they played right into what Dallas likes to do best with Dak. And like I said, Kellen Moore didn't have to really scheme up much of anything tonight. They really didn't have to go into their bag too much. They did everything that they like to do, simple and easy. We'll see we'll see them against San Francisco next week, and it'll be a different ball game because they're going to have to go into the bag, and Kellen Moore has no bag. Like I said, Scott Turner's son.
Right. 66 attempts for Tom Brady in this game. Just, it got out of balance early because they couldn't do anything early on. It's just,
Look at him. Kellen Moore acting like he did something today.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
I'm gonna tell you like this: Dallas going into San Fran next week is not. There's not gonna be the same result at all.
No,
it's not gonna be the same result.
It's not.
And what's crazy to me is that Dallas is going into this game, and they're going up against a man who was the very last person drafted in this year's draft. Mr. Irrelevant is one win away from an NFC Championship game, either in Philly or hosting against the Giants. Think about this for a second, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Irrelevant 2022 is one win away from either hosting the NFC Championship game against the Giants or heading out here to the East Coast to face the Philadelphia Eagles.
Eagles are gone. It'll be Giants and 49ers. 49ers to the Super Bowl. They'll likely play the Buffalo Bills.
Interesting. I like it. Well, I'm gonna let Dugenais go because we've an hour and a half. It is longer than we've been able to have before. And I appreciate him giving the time, and I'm hoping he'll come back next week to recap some of these exciting games. But it's been a blast having you on. Unfortunately, the Cowboys won. I'm happy that the Capitals won. So it wasn't a total lost night, but I appreciate you giving your insight as always, and let people know anything that you want to shout out for this week.
We're kind of on break right now, regrouping for the season, the NHRA season, and just kind of loving this playoff football here. I don't know if we'll have any podcasts this week, but we're just sitting back chilling. Man, Washington Wizards had an opportunity to win the game. They balled until the last few seconds. It really was disappointing to see them not completely finish. It's a tough team to play, but I thought they had the better of that team in Golden State. Just let it slip away at the end. But it was a fun watch, though. Definitely a fun watch.
Yeah, that's a great segue. And it's been a kind of a microcosm of the season for the Wizards, where they've played well at times, but their defense lets them down in key moments. And it's happened time and time again. And so we're going to definitely do an abbreviated Wizards segment right now. But thank you, Dugenais. It's kind of funny that it's a post-game show, especially because the game was at 3:00 and here we are at 11:30. I guess it's technically still a post-game segment, but it's very removed. But Dugenais, I hope to see you next week, or at least sometime down the road for the playoffs. And I hope that you have a great week.
You too, man. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Take care, brother.
Good one.
All right, guys.
So we're going to do this very, very quickly with Champ and Tim. We're going to go